We'll begin seated and stretching our legs out. We'll do a short warm up series for our joints, beginning with the toes. Take a second to, or longer than a second to arrive. In this position. When we start only the toes, flexing, oh, this is flexing, like spreading the toes and then pointing, spreading and pointing, spreading, pointing, spreading, pointing, spreading, pointing, spreading, pointing, spreading, pointing, spreading, pointing or flexing, pointing, pointing just the toes. Moving to the ankles, pointing, flex, point, flex. Flex, point, flex. And as we are moving through the process, have one part of your awareness on the breath as well. You're going to rotate the ankles only a few times, like maybe 4 on either side, and change. But be conscious of your breath. Conscious feels like a heavy word, but just awareness. So after our toes, ankles, we come to the knees, bend and stretch, keeping it very simple. One at a time, bend and stretch. So Priya, can I request you to turn your camera on, please? Thank you. And stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch and change, bend, stretch, and I'm dragging my heel along the mat and stretch. So I drag the heel along the mat and then I'm pushing the heel forward one last time, bend and stretch. You can take your hand, put it under your knees. For this one you will bend forward a little bit and you squeeze, release, squeeze the knees, squeeze, release, 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 and a few more. And last one, release. Bending the right leg as far as possible. You can go into this position or posture as far as possible, starting from keeping it above the knee to anywhere between above the knee all the way to the hip bone, the heel touching the hip bone. Yeah, and I can see most of us already doing this, and you're flapping your knees. Small, medium speed flaps. This is to get all the joints awake and ready for the practice. For some of us, ready for the day. And you're aware of the quality of your breath. Which is very different from mine because I'm speaking, changing legs. If the two sides feel different, make a note of that. For most of us, one side is tighter than the other. So if you feel that, don't worry, but be aware. Medium sized, medium paced, small flaps. And release. Bringing both the knees towards the pelvic bone. Is everyone okay with doing this? As far as you can go, as deep as you can go. Your body, and you get to decide what you feel venturing into, how much you feel venturing into today. So I'm gonna just face this way for a bit. So I like to use this opportunity to also give the foot a quick massage. Using the thumb, pressing into your foot, the soles of your foot. All muscles from the foot through your legs connect to different parts of your hip. So grounding for me also means, like, yes, the foot in contact with the floor so that the hip is held. So the foot and how we place the foot and how the weight shifts when placing the foot. Weight shift is the movement of the hip. For me, that's a big part of movement practice and pelvic awareness. Okay, and then closing that short foot massage with we did the thumb massage, and we'll close it with a rubbing. And everyone seems to be okay sitting here for a while longer, but if it's too uncomfortable, too stressful, you can come back here and then open again, or you can come to cross-legged seated position. So we are here. Coming to yesterday's, I call this diamond breathing. Diamond breathing. So feeling the sit bones, the ends of the sit bones, and the front and back end of the pelvis, which is not in contact with the floor, but you cannot just drop the point on the floor. Rolling the pelvis on the floor. Small rolls, front and back, and go to the side again. We are not sitting on anything today. Rolling the pelvis, which is essentially arching. This is curving. This is curving and arching. Let's connect it to the breath. So when we arch, we inhale and curve, exhale. Arch, inhale, curve, exhale, in your own speed and in your own time. I can see some of us are holding our toes, some of us are holding our ankle. I was holding the center of the foot. I would suggest we hold either above the ankles or the center of the foot. That way we get more stability to get this hip rolling going. You can go a little bit more further while holding above the ankle or the center of the foot. The toes are free for now. So now inhale, arch, exhale. Go at your own time. Because I'm speaking, I have to remind myself I'm disconnected to my breath and I might go faster. So go at the pace of your breath. Last few. And we come here to this position. Vajrasana. Is everyone comfortable with this? If this is too uncomfortable, you can always choose to do in cross-legged position with a blanket or a block or a cushion under your hips or pelvic bone. You can also roll a blanket and keep it under the ankle here. That takes away the load from the ankle. And additionally, you can take, if you have a block, you can sit on the block. It opens up the feet a little bit, but that's fine too. So here, so that the front of your leg, the legs get a little bit more of a stretch. Taking 10 seconds to or more to settle into this posture. Yesterday we worked with the spine, the lower spine from upper abs or mid spine area to the end of the spine. We'll go back there again today, but let's activate the top of the spine as well, sitting here. So just look at me for a bit so I can explain. I like to use these 5 parts of the spine that folks who have been with me long enough know. It just keeps coming back. So sorry you have to hear it again and again and again. So we have the tailbone and the top of the spine. We spoke of the top of the spine yesterday when we were lying down on the floor, and I said keeping the chin to the chest so that you feel the length here. So 1, 2, these are the two end points. The head, the skull is balancing itself on the top of the spine. And the tailbone is actually the back end of the diamond. The 3 parts are in the middle. The top spine, or the upper spine, upper back, top of this, top. Oh God, it's just good morning for me. I'm forgetting the term I use. Strange. I just said that I've been using it for years and I'm also forgetting. It'll come back. And then we have mid spine, or the upper abs, and then the lower. So try to just sort of move the top of the spine. So there is a joint here in the spine. Your vertebrae in this part moves a little bit more here, front and in. And then you have here upper abs, out, in, out, in, out. And the lower is tilting. When you roll, when we were rolling the pelvic on the floor, it engages our lower spine, including the tailbone. So there is the tailbone, and then there is the lower half of the spine, which have scientific terms also, which is just not coming into my mind right now. Oh, thoracic cane. Anyway, so while we are here, bringing awareness to the top, the upper spine, the upper back. You can use your hand to keep it on the center of your chest and moving it forward, back, and trying to keep the neck out of it. Not that any of you are moving the neck, but yeah. And let's go slower. Like I said, sorry again, I go slightly fast. I'm finding myself go slightly fast because I'm speaking, so I'm disconnected to my breath. Let's go slower, inhaling and expanding the chest, pushing forward, and exhaling, contracting, pulling in, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. Last one, inhale, exhale. Okay. Can you look at me for a second? Take a break from this pose if you need to. Shifting weight side to side, putting your palm on the floor. Maybe we'll try it here. So I saw small movements. If you feel okay today, there might be some reason you chose to do small movements, that's fine. But can we just try bigger movement with the chest? Inhaling, exhaling, pulling in, inhaling, expanding, exhaling, pulling in. And pulling in. Okay. And wrist, rolling the wrist. You've moved into the wrist. Fingers, spread them into a fist, spread, come into a fist, spread, come into a fist, spread, come into a fist. Shoulder rolls. Reverse. And neck. So you're holding the left, touching the left ear with your right palm, and the right ear moves towards the right shoulder is down and looking straight ahead. Chin in. The opposite hand reaching the floor. And release, other side. Chin in, opposite hand reaching the floor. And release. Coming to all fours. Coming to all fours here. You can choose to keep your knees and toes together, or you can choose to keep them hip distance apart. And then if you feel, you can keep your knees open and toes together. All these have slightly different effects. You can even cycle through these 3 positions to see how they work on the body differently. So getting into the position of your choice, your palm is right under your shoulder, and then from here we start with only the tailbone, so it's hardly visible. We are inhaling to arch and exhaling to curve. It's at a very muscular level. It's activating the muscles of the pelvic floor and those which are connected to the tailbone. So the diamond expands on the inhalation and exhaling, curve, inhaling, tailbone, not the lower spine. Exhaling. The elbows are facing each other, the palm is pressing into the floor. The diamond expands and contracts. And now on the next inhalation, bringing the lower back, not the mid back, so means upper spine, upper abs and upper spine are still not part of this movement. They are still. So arching lower back and lower spine and curving. Arching on the inhalation and curving on the exhalation. The diamond opening up on the inhalation, expanding, scaling out, and the diamond becoming smaller, contracting, scaling in on the exhalation. It's also like the perineum is pushing down on the inhalation and pulling up on the exhalation. On the next inhalation, the upper abs or the mid spine also joins the movement. Inhaling, arching, exhaling and curving. Take a break whenever you need to. Okay, why don't we all take a break, coming to child's pose. Resting the forehead on the floor. And continue to watch your breath, continue to feel the expansion and contraction happening here. Stay here. So we'll go up in a bit again to continue the arching and curving movement. We'll start with a few rounds of what we just did, the lower half And then after a few rounds of lower half again, we'll add the upper spine and then the neck finally. So 5 parts of the spine. So the next inhalation we go up, back to tabletop. On the exhalation, curving the lower spine. Inhale, arch. And exhale, curve. Last one, inhale, arch. Exhale, curve. And on the next inhalation, we include the upper spine, not the neck yet. Not the neck. And exhale, curve. So your throat is not opening and closing yet. Inhale, arch. Exhale, curve. Inhale, arch. Exhale, curve. So remember to also push your toes into the floor. To activate the deeper muscles. So we are pressing the palm and the toes, fingers and toes into the floor for more activation of the muscles. The smaller muscles, the smaller lines of the muscular lines. And on the next inhalation, we add the top of the spine, which means we look up, the neck comes into play, the full arch and curve, and then on exhalation you curve and the chin goes to chest. Inhale, the throat also opens. You look straight in front of you. Exhale, pushing the hands and feet into the floor. Go. Inhale. The diamond expands. Exhale. Inhale. And last one. Exhale. Curve and come into a child's pose. As you finish the exhalation, toes together, knees open, and if you can, allow the chest to rest on the floor or the forehead to rest on the floor. And observing the expansion and contraction, the ballooning and the deflating happening in the body. It's a restorative pose. You're not doing much, but observing, observing the effect of the breath, that is ballooning and deflating. And slowly getting ready to come back up. We'll do one more thing on tabletop. Coming to tabletop. This is optional. I can see cushions, like I can see a cushion. So if you have cushions or blocks or folded blanket around, just keep it handy. Watch me first, and then I'll show you a couple of options. This is also called the puppy pose, where you get like the effect of a forward bend and a back bend in the same pose. So we'll try this. You can either keep the chin on the floor or the forehead on the floor. This is also fine. Forehead on the floor. If you can do this, you can go here, but like these classes are about more comfort and pleasure than trying anything. So you have those two options. And the third one is to keep the blanket or something under your chest so that you can feel. The important thing is to feel that pressure, the contact with the floor. So you can keep a cushion or something here under the chest so that you can push into it. Yeah, Nidhi, you want to ask something? Yeah, you're on mute. I muted everyone. If you could unmute and mute yourself.
So here the feet, like the toes are going to touch and the knees are going to be apart like the previous pose, or are they going to be
No, you
parallel?
parallel.
Okay, okay.
Thank you for asking and clarifying. The feet will be parallel or together, but let's keep it parallel. Yes, Darshana. So you have these three options. You can keep something under to push the chest. And connecting to the breath. The train of the breath. Noticing as you inhale what parts of the body are putting more pressure on the floor. And what happens to those parts on the exhalation? Are there other parts that move deeper into the floor on exhalation? And on the next exhalation, slowly unposing yourself. Take a second to check in with the body, with the neck. This pose can be effortful also before before the body gets used to it. And coming to lying on our backs. Keeping the hands on like the lower abs here, and just noticing the movement of the breath. The diamond again expanding. And contracting. Continuing with that quality of breathing, bringing the feet closer to the hips, as close as possible. Palms facing down. We did this yesterday, the bridge pose. We'll go into the bridge, pressing the heel, the entire foot presses into the floor, but especially the heel into the floor, the elbows or the upper arms into the floor, the palm into the floor. The shoulder is relaxed downwards and not curving up. On the inhalation, lifting the hips up. And exhalation, bringing the hips down. The feet are parallel, the knees are parallel. If you can notice through this movement, if the knees are falling to the side and coming to the center, if you can avoid that. As you do this, keeping the entire body in its place, knees in its place, only the hip moving up, knees not opening on the inhalation. Continue to press the heel down, and exhalation, bringing the hips back down. Inhaling, lifting the hip up. Press the palm, press the heel into the floor. Exhaling, bring the hip down. The next one, we'll hold for 2 counts. 2 to 4 counts. You're doing it in your own time. So you inhale, the hip goes up, hold it there and hold the breath for just like 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 1, 2, 3. It's up to you. But just you're holding it there for a bit And then exhaling to calm down. Remember, the expansion is on the inhalation, the contraction is on the exhalation as you come down. The perineum pulling up is on the exhalation, perineum pushing out and expanding is on the inhalation. In your own time, that is the time of your breath, inhaling and inhaling, holding, exhaling, inhaling, holding, exhaling. Let's go. Don't forget to keep your heels active here. And that fleshy part of your upper arm also is active. Pressing into the floor, actively pressing into the floor. And after the next exhalation, release this practice. Feel the work, take a moment to feel the work in the body, yield into the floor, to relax from this active practice. Not yet, but preparing to lift the legs up in the air. Not yet, but giving the body those few seconds to prepare. Chin towards the chest and lifting the legs up in the air on the inhalation. Keeping the lower spine on the floor and not letting it roll up. The lower spine stays on the floor, doesn't roll up. On the next exhalation, bending. Keep bringing the legs down, bending the knees. The thighs stay lifted. So the more you move the knees towards your chest, the more the lower spine rolls up. So you want to keep the knees away from the chest, and that's a little bit of work for the core. And that's what we need. We want to work the pelvic floor muscles a little bit. So the knees don't move towards the chest. The knees stay away from the chest, and inhaling, straightening the leg. Contract to exhale and bringing the legs down. Continue a few rounds in your own time. Expanding on the inhalation of the pelvic floor, contracting on the exhalation. And you can release the practice on the next exhalation. You can rest either here with your feet on the floor or the legs stretched out. We're going to do a few more practices here. And getting ready to, not yet, but getting ready to bring the knees, both the knees towards the chest. We'll cup our palms around the knees, creating that tension. So now bringing the knees towards the chest and holding the knees with your palm. Playing with the tension now, pulling, stretching the hand by pulling the knees away and the knees, and pull the knees towards, pull with your hands the knee towards, so creating that resistance as well. The knees don't want to come, but you're pulling the knees towards. Now the knees want to leave. The knees want to go away from the chest, but your hands are like trying to keep them back. So feeling that tension while you move. So move the knees away, but feel that tension. Now the hands sort of win this round and they are able to pull the knees are resisting, but the hands can pull the knees towards the chest. But this time the knees are stronger, so now the knees can pull. The hands are trying to not let the knees go, but the knees are pulling away from the chest. Few rounds of this in your own time. On the exhalation, the knees come towards the chest. On the inhalation, the knees move away from the chest. And on the next exhalation, squeeze the knees in and hug the knees separately. Right knee with your right hand, left knee with your left hand. Hug, squeeze it in and keep pulling the tailbone towards the floor to feel that stretch in the lower spine. And of course, continue to inhale and exhale as deeply as possible, or as deeply as available. And releasing on the next exhalation, allowing the legs to spread. You're coming into Shavasana but not going there. Today we'll finish seated up with some breath work. So alright. A couple of rounds of flexing and pointing the toes, what we did in the beginning of the class while we are lying down. The feet are parallel, and let's, after the flexing and pointing, leaving the toes somewhere in between. Not actively flexed, not actively pointed. But actively relaxed. Not sure what that means, but you're aware of the way it's resting. That's what I mean by actively relaxed. And bending the right knee in towards the chest, keeping the left hand on the left hip. Just to tell yourself that you are stretching this part. You can massage the left hip a little bit. The area around the left hip. Pulling the knees towards the chest and lengthening the left flexors. Lengthening the left hip. Yesterday we took it across, we'll take it across in a bit, the knees, but today we'll first open a little bit. So you open the knees like a book to the outside, the right knee opens towards the right. It's still pressing into the chest but opens towards the right. Holding it there for a breath. And on the next exhalation, taking it towards the opposite chest. You're not rolling over yet, but you're just taking it a little. The movement is small. The stretch is felt in the outer thigh muscles of the bending leg. And then now with a little resistance, you can allow the knees to fall all the way to the opposite side. The head looks to the right. The right knee is on the left side. The hands are stretching out to the sides. Just staying there. Relaxing into this twist, yielding into this twist, making whatever adjustments you need to feel more held in this twist. the center. On the inhalation, exhale and stretch the leg. Noticing if any, and hopefully yes, difference between the right and the left. What parts may feel stretched and more relaxed on the right side may not be feeling the same on the left, but there may be other parts on the left that may feel stretched and relaxed. And bending the left knee now towards the chest, keeping the right palm on the right hip, massaging it a little bit, not too hard, not too much, just so that giving the message to the hips to like relax and stretch. Opening the knees outward, left knee opens to the left side. And on the next exhalation, taking it across, not all the way across yet, taking the knees pointing towards the opposite chest now and holding it there for a bit as it stretches the outer thigh of the bending leg. That is the left leg, hopefully for all of us. And on the next exhalation, allowing that to go all the way to the right side. The left knee goes all the way to the right side. The head turns towards the left side. And the hands are reaching out like you're in a cross. Keeping the attention on the breathing. On the next inhalation, bringing the knees back to the center and head to the center. On the exhalation, stretching. And feeling the work in the entire body. Slowly bringing the knees to the chest, turning on to your right side rolling onto your right side. Stay there for a breath. And using your palm, elbow to push into the floor to come to a seated position on your folded blanket or cushion or block, cross-legged seated position. Okay. We'll also, like we are building up physical practice, we'll slowly build up breathwork practice. I'm looking at the time as well, so so today we'll start with, and let's see if we have time to do two, but today we'll start with inhaling, holding, exhaling. Let me count for us maybe today, and eventually I'd like for us to count for ourselves so that we move in the pace of our breath. So we inhale and exhale all through the nose, and we hold, let's say today, for 2 counts, keeping it simple. So we inhale for 4 counts, hold for 2 counts, exhale a little longer for 6 counts. So exhaling all the breath first, fully exhaling, and inhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, inhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, inhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and continue with your own mental counting. On the next exhalation, release the counting. Come back to whatever breathing pace that your body is at right now. And just we'll spend a few moments observing that, bringing all the fingertips to touch each other and relaxing the hand, just relaxing it down. Maybe you can crack open your eyes to see, but I guess I see everyone's got it. And yeah, just being with. And slowly getting ready to step out of this meditative stance. Rubbing the hands together before you open your eyes, rubbing your hands together, cupping your eyes with your palm. Your face and shoulder, rubbing your hands, the rest of the body, all the way to the toes. You can open your eyes. Take your time to come out of the practice, fully come out of the practice. If you have a few moments, you can jot down some words or just be with yourself. I'm available on WhatsApp for any conversation. Feel free, even today or through the week, and let me know whatever you want me to know via WhatsApp, so that we can have the space for you. And yeah, so see you all next week, same time.